most of us eat meat, but most of us probably don't see the problem in that. Long ago, humans had to hunt for their food, and they discovered the calorically dense and delicious cooked meat. But fast forward hundreds and hundreds of years later to the present, and we are no longer hunting, but we are still consuming the same cooked meat. Cooked meat is in most of our diets consistently, but we rarely ask ourselves, now that we don't hunt, is it okay to be eating this meat? If you're tasked with answering this question and you go about doing so in a logical manner, you would likely come to the same conclusion as I. One ought not eat meat. In this speech, I'll be covering three main points: the morality of meat, the unsustainability of the meat industry, and the environmental impacts of the meat industry. And first off, I'd like to talk about the morality of eating meat. As David Benatar said in his 2006 book on morality, Better Never to Have Been, suffering is bad. But just because it's bad for humans doesn't mean it's not bad for animals too. Animals have inherent value because they are living beings that are also cognitively functioning, meaning they can sense the same pain and pleasures that humans do as well. Therefore, it's very immoral to be forcing this excessive suffering when we don't have to. But a lot of people would disagree and say that animals don't have this inherent value. And to that, I would raise the rebuttal that there's reasons that in America, at least, we have these laws against domestic animal abuse and just killing and eating our animals. It's illegal because they have inherent value. They can feel that pain. And us eating meat consistently, when we kill them, they feel that pain, and it's only for our sensual pleasure. In a sense, it's like a serial killer trying to justify his murders because they feel good. Your personal pleasure doesn't override the suffering and pain of others, even when it's with animals. But moving off of the morality topic and moving on to the next point, I'd like to address that the meat industry is overall unsustainable. According to this 2019 chart from the United Nations on how the Earth's surface is divided, we can see that 71% of the land on Earth is habitable land, and 50% of that is used for agriculture. But if you look under that, we see 77% of that land is used for animal farming, with only 23% used for crops. So it's about an 8-to-2 ratio. And on the surface, that doesn't seem to be a problem. But when we look a little deeper, we can see that 18% of the global calories consumed come from the animal farming, and 83% comes from the crops. This means the 8-to-2 ratio that we had for the agricultural land, when it comes to the calories we actually consume, is opposite. 23% of the land used for agriculture is pushing over 80% of the calories we eat. And again, at first it doesn't seem like a problem, but according to Dr. Abani and the rest of his cohorts, with estimates of global population reaching a plateau of 9 billion in the year 2050, the meat industry must grow in population by 50 to 73% to maintain per capita demand of the growing population. So to break that down, the meat industry by 2050, to meet the 9 billion population of the Earth, has to increase productions by 50 to 73%. But doing simple math, we can see that if 77% of the land is already taken by the agriculture industry, and we have to increase that by another 50 to 73%, the only way we can get that land is by destroying forests and destroying these shrubs. We have to destroy ecosystems and habitats of other animals and all around just hurt the earth. And that's not good. But moving forward to the environmental impacts of the meat industry, we can see that those are also incredibly negative. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency in a 2020 study, 11% of Earth's greenhouse gas emissions come from the agriculture industry. And we know the agriculture industry is heavily dominated by animal farming. And the problem with these greenhouse gas emissions is that they're invisible gases that rise up into the atmosphere but get trapped in the atmosphere, and they cause Earth's temperature to rise. This is called global warming. And global warming causes polar ice caps and glaciers to melt, which causes the sea level to rise. And the sea level rising makes lands closer to sea level more susceptible to flooding, just like Florida. As we can see, the meat industry is unsustainable, environmentally negative, and very immoral. Therefore, one ought not eat meat. So remember, next time you're craving a juicy cheeseburger or a good old hot dog, change starts with one person. And who better to bring the change of healthiness to our world than you? Thank you.